So it is an event store month. We did get a new assortment of items added here. We have all of our traditional items, your ship blueprints, ship parts, ship refits, all the stuff you're used to seeing is all still here exactly where you expect it to be. Same refits and things like that. The thing I love this time around about this version of the event store is that they put a separate tab in for new additions. These are things that previously haven't been in an event store before. So if you're just looking for the new stuff, it's all right here in the front. You can get the Chaos Matter. You can get 2 different projectiles. Couldn't think of the word. The Section 31 refit, beryllium spheres to upgrade your protector, as well as protector blueprints all the way over here for those of you who are still short on stuff. And then you've got a couple of big ticket items right here. First off, you've got the Ferengi whip. It's 150 blueprints to unlock the Ferengi whip, so it's going to cost you 150,000 of event store currency. It's definitely a big ticket item. It's a good, high-valued item, previously only ever been for sale for $50, I believe. So the fact you're now having a free-to-play path to source it after 2-ish years is pretty spectacular. Maybe not even quite that long, maybe like 18 months. And something players have been asking for a very long time. Chances are, now that this has been added to the event store, if you can't get all of it this month, the next time around, it might, and I emphasize the word might, be back again and just become something that's in there. Like the Fleet Commander, right? When they gave out that extra Fleet Commander slot, it wasn't like it was one and done with that. It was there for 2 or 3 other times. It might even still be here. Maybe I just can't see it because I still have it. So this is a great one to get. The Dolomite Particles is also a great one to get, especially at a pretty decent value here. 240 for 22.5K. You know, since most of the researches cost, 400, 800, 1,200 for some of them, for 75,000, you might be able to get a pretty decent, 800 cost prime out of this. So between the whip and a prime, that could be a good month for you. That could be a good event store, a high level prime. And we did get an update today that in addition to the 9 items that are in here, sometime tomorrow, most likely, or later this week, the Vindicator will also be added to here. So players can have an opportunity to source the ship through here instead of trying to do it through the arena store. So that's also another win-win for the players, right? It feels like they're being too nice to us. What's going on? What is going on here? This feels a little weird. Also, the Vortivore refit just kind of hanging out here without being in its assigned folder is also a little weird. And as far as new officers, it's all the officers that have come out since the last one. So you've got all of the Qs, you've got Soren and his group, and then you've got Tuvok, Icheb, and Specialist 7. So the last 3 iterations, or 3 months worth of officers here are all available. And these are all part of, various PvP combinations and things like that too. So if you didn't sort, if you're like me, if you didn't get any, pick up these officers, you at least have an opportunity to get the remaining shards to unlock some of them. So those are all big positives. Those are all big wins. Carissa says they know this arc is half-baked, so they had to give us something. Well, that could certainly be it, right? Event store months typically lack in other areas because they rely very heavily on, well, it's an event store month. You're going to do some events. We're going to give you some currency. You're going to pick your prizes. We don't really have to have a lot of other content other than that, and they usually don't. Usually the rest of the content is pretty lackluster, and they lean very heavily on the event store. And when you've got a lot of players who've been playing the game for multiple years, and everything in the event store is the same stuff that they've seen, 48 months, in a row, basically, you have to mix it up somehow. And they've added some good items this time around, and they pulled them out, so you don't even have to go digging for them. Now, is it possible that there are other items potentially hiding in here that aren't in here? Yes, because we all know how well they proofread and double check things. So it wouldn't necessarily be a huge waste of time to give this a quick once through and just see if, like, hey, maybe there's a new cloaking or, a new specialty currency that hasn't really been offered before that maybe I'd like to get. So just keep that in mind. Berlin Wall says they know how mad we are over arenas. Could also be true. Rev says, I'm okay with them lacking if the event store is good. The event store so far looks good. Now, of course, it all comes down to what the currency is going to look like. I feel like the last, again, this is another one where it's just a 2-month arc with an event store. And I feel like when we have these smaller arcs with these smaller event stores, we tend to get somewhere in like the 200,000, 225 range for the free to play. Obviously, the people who spend, who complete some of the other events that get the additional currencies like the relativity and whatnot, are going to have higher totals. The people who compete in some of these SLBs are going to have higher totals. If you're in a top alliance, your ALB total is going to be a lot higher. But I feel like between 200 and 225 is where I would set my expectations and then see what you can do as far as, helping your alliance move up a spot or two, or even getting a couple of SLB rewards for yourself to try and make this a little more interesting and get yourself a little bit extra currency. So, off to a good start so far. We're going to kill Gorn. Yes. Let's go kill some Gorn. That's for 40 plus as well. The sub 40 doesn't have the events for loot store. No, they were supposed to, and it, I guess, got canceled or something, or didn't launch the way it was supposed to. I would imagine it'll just mean later in the week you'll just get 2 events. They'll launch whatever it was supposed to be along with that day's event. So maybe like Thursday or Friday, instead of having 1 event, you'll have 2. Just as their way of being like, sorry for the screw up on Tuesday. But that's kind of where my mentality is thinking is if I plan for 225, well, it's 150 for the whip, and 75k can either get me some officer shards or some dolomite to get some primes. And I think that's where we'll turn out. And as far as primes, the dolomite is the good one, right? Obviously, there's a variety of ways to source it through different faction stores and things, through the Section 31 store. Actually, let's go look at that first. So you've got your Section 31 store plus your Ex-Borg store. Your Ex-Borg bundles, it's in your G4, G5, and G6 mega chests, which does require epic currency to unlock. These have 5-day cooldowns on them, so you can double pull them, and you can get a good amount of this dolomite per week. And depending on your ops level, you've got chests for, being in your 40s, being in your 50s, and then when you get to 61, there's a third chest option that has, an additional amount in it. So you can get, like, I'm in a position now where I think I could technically get almost 200 a week. 5-day cooldown. So again, it'd be like 200, 200, 200, and then like 400 at the end of the month. So basically about 1,000 of these a month is what I could source. Where I'm at right now, obviously, if you're lower, you won't have these many chest options. You also do have a daily drip here of 10 more in the Section 31 store. If you want to spend 700 mirror credits for that, you can pick up some more dolomite particles there on a daily basis. So that would be potentially another 300 a month that you could get. So maybe that'll influence your decision when it comes to, do I need to spend event store currency on Dolomite. Maybe I want to buy some. Maybe I want to get some officers or something else instead. The Ferengi whip, for those of you who forget, like Bel Air does. Uh, where's my tech? Oh, it's down here now. The Ferengi whip opens its own little refinery here, which currently, because I don't have it, is showing me these little fragments and things, which will help you unlock the other uncommons and rares and epics that you may also not have access to yet or didn't buy or whatnot. So you can get a lot of the other techs that are available in here. The nucleonic beam, and then you've got your red matter, your Thaleron radiation one, your some of your other ones, your mining ones. There's like 8 or 9 different forbidden techs that you can be unlocked using that currency. However, once you have the uncommons unlocked completely, there's only a couple of them, but once you have those all unlocked, the uncommon ones drop out, and you no longer get those as an option, and instead you can get either trial bells to do more Q trials or protomatter. And it's large quantities of those too. Now, the chances of getting them are less. They're low. They're not, like 2%, but I'm sure they're probably in the single digits or 10% or something like that. They're fairly low. But when you do hit them, it's a nice big chunk of upgrade materials that will help you continue progressing with your stuff. So that's another wonderful thing that the Ferengi whip gives you. In addition to, hey, you're basically going to drain a concentrated latinum node in like 10 seconds. So if you want to do Mining Monday that way, you can do it. If you want to just load up on concentrated latinum, and then that's one less bundle you have to purchase out of the Ex-Borg store. And you're just like, you know what, this bundle over here, this Fuchsia Latinum one that I buy sometimes to get this concentrated Latinum, if I have the whip, I basically never have to buy that again. I don't know what else I would use the credits on, but I never have to spend it on that again. Yeah, I don't know if there's a graphic for it with what's available in the Ferengi whip. Let me see if I still have it. Yeah, and then during alliance tournaments and things like that, obviously it makes it very helpful to complete that. Mord, nice. Aren't you classy? Mord has banned the use of the word whip for the next 3 minutes. So let me see if I can find the graphic. Might take me 3 minutes to find this. Haha. Let's see. Ferengi. No, I guess. All right. I don't have a copy of it saved, so let's go look on Discord, because I'm certain that it's definitely going to be on here in the officer tool, because they got everything in there. Chart index. Search. Ferengi. I know it's in here somewhere. Ferengi, Ferengi, Ferengi. It is actually not in here. Well, that's weird. I must just be missing it somewhere. I must be missing it. All right. Well, anywho. Yeah, the payout chart that shows the graphics for the Ferengi artifact. I thought I had it saved, but I can't find it. The content is so old they just don't have it anymore. Could be. That could be what it is. This is usually the part where Nevin says, check your PMs, because he's already sent it to me. But I don't like putting that on somebody else. But suffice it to say that there's options in there to get multiple bundles of protomatter and trial bells. I don't think there's any tier up catalysts in there, but it's a good deal, and it's a continuing, sourcing method that may help with other things down the road. So check my DMs. Well, look at that. You send someone a picture, they send you one back. There you go. Now we're all square. I appreciate that. All right, so this is the refinery, what it looks like. So until you have all the uncommon text acquired, you will not see protomatter and bells. You will see the uncommon text instead. Once you get these unlocked, then you can replace these with both protomatter and bells. And there are some larger quantities available here. 27, 55,000, all the way up to sometimes I think it's like a 1% chance. But if you hit that lottery roll and you get 1 million protomatter, that's pretty crazy. And then as far as the trial bells go, again, picking up a couple extra of these. This can also help with the away team mission, because one of those away team missions is like acquire like 50,000 protomatter. Well, if you get lucky with the pull, you can hit the 50,000 protomatter. Bam, there's 10,000 points for an alliance tournament task. Done. If you don't hit the lucky protomatter pull, but maybe you get some extra bells, you can still source the protomatter, just do extra Q trials. Might take you, I think it's like 40 or 50 trials for most people, depending on where the level of your building is and whatnot, and what your bonus is, and which tier of what you're hitting is. If you're still doing like 3 stars and your building's in like the 30s, I think it can be as high as like 75 to 80 Q trials you would have to run to get enough protomatter. But if you're a higher level player, your building's up higher, you're hitting the high 3-star or you're hitting the 4-star trials, then you can probably do it in like 35 to 40 Q trials. So getting these extra bells could also be a way to get to a free 10,000 point task. And thank you, Rev. I appreciate that. Scarin says, I never run out of protomatter. Carissa says it gets worse after tier 8, so don't take it up that far. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a great path to unlock a bunch more stuff. I have a bunch of them already, but the ones that are in there, so the 3 mining ones, the Malon extractor, the mining laser, the Klingon mining drill, are all in there that you can claim with the rare materials. It's also these 3, the time crystal, the Thaleron radiation, and the red matter. Those are all in there as well. So it's at least those 6 that you can get with the rares and the epics. This one's not. The interface cloaking device might also be in there, and maybe one of the Borg ones. I think there's 8 in total that you can get with those materials. So So it's a great opportunity to source a lot of different forbidden techs. The Borg alcove is in there? Okay. When's the next Forbidden Tech upgrade event? You mean other than the one that's going on right now because it's Tech Tuesday? You're talking about like a real event and not one of these, just weekly events that'll get you some materials for, if you finish first or second, or first, well, actually, it's 1 through 3 on this one. Not only will you get ahead of the curve points, you'll also get yourself a nice big chunk of Syndicate XP. You haven't slept much? I'm familiar with that feeling. I know what that's like. I mean, granted, for you, it's probably been years since you started having kids, but let's go back to the chart. Chris has got some points to make. Okay. So Chris is saying only take it up to about tier 8, which is right here. Because when you get it above tier 8 on this particular chart, tier 9, you lose the lower chance of this protomatter pull here. The 83,000 one drops off. Interesting. Okay. That is good to know. And you're only stuck with just the 2 higher rolls, which probably have a very low success rate. This one's probably more likely to happen, and then it kind of goes away. Has nobody taken it this far? This is just an old chart. Nobody ever updated it with tier 10, 11, and 12. And then over here, again, same thing with the trial bells. You're losing a possibility of probably what was a higher success option with this 245 for the bells. This one goes away. And now you've got kind of an all or nothing with these ones. And you've got more options over here. As we scroll over here with the rare and epic fragments, like these numbers have gone up a little bit in these last couple ones, and you can hit, higher amounts of these, which may help you source the forbidden techs a little faster. But once you have them, you're just going to be getting, a bunch of fragments that, quite frankly, you won't be able to use until they add new text to the game and put them in there for them to be sourced, and don't just sell them or only put them in alliance tournaments or only put them in an event store. So tier 8 does seem like a good stopping point because I don't necessarily need the higher payouts over here. What I need is the more guaranteed options at getting this protomatter and bells, because those are the things that I'm going to consistently still be using. This has a finite end date to it. Eventually, you're going to have enough of these fragments. You're going to have all the rares and epics unlocked. And then you're like, great, I'm still getting these fragments. What am I doing with them? Nothing. I wish I was getting more bells and protomatter, but I don't ever seem to get these anymore because you took 2 of the rolls away by going to tier 9. So I like where Chris is thinking is with this one.